Welcome to Discover Gluten Freedom. I'm your host, Melinda Tucker, and I'm here with Karen Morgan, the author of Blackbird Bakery Gluten Free. Karen, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
Well, I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, me too.
You have a phenomenal cookbook.
Thank you so much. I mean, it was totally a labor of love. Every recipe that I created in there, it was all empirical and an empirical journey. You know, it was all trial and error because when I was diagnosed in 2002, the available products at the supermarket were just so horrible. It was like a tongue-scraping experience. And I felt so patronized that it was like, you know, I'm paying so much money for all of these products and there was absolutely no pleasure in it.
Right.
So that was the impetus for writing my cookbook in the first place.
Well, and that was a good thing because we all have to benefit from it now. So that worked out really good. You said you were diagnosed in 2002.
That's right.
Were you sick, or what brought on your diagnosis?
I didn't even really know I was sick. I just had a lot of intestinal issues, and I thought it was from stress or, you know, birth control or whatever else. There was always something to rationalize what the cause of it was. But my mom is a food chemist, and so what that means is she studies how foods interact with different drugs. And she's having all these problems for years and years and years. And she was like, my gastroenterologist can't figure out what it is. And so she started doing research and she went to her doctor and said, I want the genetic test for celiac disease and I want a biopsy. And so after that, it was confirmed she has the double gene. And because she had the double gene, she was like, just get the blood test. I don't think that you're gonna need the biopsy. And sure enough, I had the double gene too.
Wow.
So it means that my dad has the recessive gene and my mom has the dominant gene for it. So
you've got the double, so there is a chance that you'll potentially pass that on in the future too.
That's right. So, which was another reason, you know, after my diagnosis, I became pregnant with my son. And so there was that fear that, you know, what if my child has celiac disease? How am I going to make sure that he has a happy, full life? Right. So there were a lot of factors that really motivated me to do it. But then I think the main thing was I felt so helpless when I was diagnosed and that I couldn't find joy. And, you know, I come from this foodie background and I was raised Italian American and I'm told that I can't have pasta or bread again. Right. I couldn't believe it. And so that was really, I wanted to have joy and have those memories around the table with my family that I was just starting to create from when I was growing up.
Yeah, well, so that's a really unique avenue to find out your diagnosis. Is similar with your mom having gone through such a long period of frustration before she found out.
Yeah, 11 years.
So many people, I think they say the average is about 10 years to figure out what our problem is once we find it.
I know, and isn't that staggering? I mean, people are suffering for that long, and then they're told, oh, by the way, this is all that you can enjoy.
Yes.
You know?
Thanks for that.
Exactly. Well, it's like the double whammy.
Yeah. Well, speaking of a long time, how long did it take you to find completion in your cookbook?
You know, it was a really long journey. It was about a year. I went through a really deep depression after I was diagnosed, and because I was like, there's no way out of this. You know, but then I realized I wanted to make something good out of something bad. You know, I wanted to turn those bad feelings into something good, so I just started doing these experiments, and it took about 6 years to finish, you know, 100 recipes, 75 of which are in the cookbook. Everything, I was very self-taught. I mean, I come from a foodie background, and, you know, my ex-husband was a chef, and so I learned a bulk of my, you know, classical cooking knowledge from him. You know, gluten-free is a completely different animal. And so just, you can take traditional techniques and try to apply them, but the rules just don't apply. And so for some of the recipes in the book, it would take up to 100 trials to perfect one recipe. So that's why it took so long.
Yeah, well, 100 trials is a long time, and quite a few recipes and probably quite a few cookies down the sink.
Yes, many into the trash can. Yeah. You know, the first loaves of bread that I tried, it was like a brick.
Oh no.
So it was just horrible, but
they were very similar to what you bought back in 2002 anyway.
Exactly. Let's make an adobe house.
We'll make bricks.
Right.
Tell me about your time in France.
So that was the major shift that occurred because, you know, after I perfected my recipes, you know, you're surrounded by friends and family who are going to, of course, be saying, oh, your stuff's fabulous, you know, because I'm sure, you know, they see that you've gone through this struggle. They want you to see you happy. So I was like, you know what? I need to get an unbiased opinion about my work. And so we had some family friends that had a chateau in France, and they said, you know, we've turned it into a B&B. Why don't you come out and cook? And so my husband at the time and we went out there for 4 months with our 2-year-old son, and he was the chef de cuisine and I was a patisserie, and everything I made was gluten-free, and we got a standing ovation every night.
That's phenomenal.
So that's when I came back and I started my website, The Art of Gluten-Free Cooking, and then Blackbird Bakery was born.
And how long did you operate Blackbird Bakery?
I ran Blackbird for 2 years, and then because my business was all online, I realized I really wanted to connect with people on a physical level and educate and use my book as a tool to empower people. To me, it's wonderful to be able to go to the store and buy something that's fabulous and it's gluten-free, but how much more empowering is it to be able to make it yourself and serve it to your family and your friends and have everybody say, this is fabulous.
Oh, I agree. That so many of us out there are fledgling cooks, or we are home cooks, or what have you, and that component of serving the meal to the family is very important. It's very enriching, and it's just fulfilling as a mom in particular, as a spouse, or just as a son or daughter, or whoever you are in the family.
Because some of the best memories that we have, at least from my childhood, is when we were sitting around the table and everyone was happy and enjoying the meal, and there's something very nostalgic about being able to make a fabulous meal for everybody. And a lot of my clients, they say, well, especially during the holidays and things like that, it's so frustrating because they're having to make 2 Thanksgiving dinners or 2 Christmas dinners, and it's like, here are some recipes where you can serve the exact same meal to everybody and not sacrifice taste, texture, or appearance. Exactly. And you can still have a gourmet meal.
That's great. What's your favorite recipe in your cookbook?
Oh, that's tough. I have some nostalgia recipes just because they were handed down from my grandmother that I make gluten-free, like her biscotti. Because I just have these amazing memories of her. Just like, she was such a little gossip, and so she would always be telling stories or about books that she's reading and nibbling on her cookies. So I love those, and she would always send them to us in these tins during the holidays with pizzellis. And so that's just, from my heart, that's something that means a lot to me. But in terms of, on the culinary side of things, I love the chestnut genoise hearts, just because it's such a full-bodied flavor. And I love all my tarts and pies. My tarts and pie dough are something that I'm really proud of. It's just a long road to get there.
The tarts are good. I've had the tarts, and the tart crust is good, and it does have a good crumb.
Yeah.
And it's phenomenal.
Awesome.
It's a really wonderful recipe.
Thank you.
Well, Karen, if someone's interested in your cookbook, where can they find it?
They can find it at anywhere books are sold, and then Anthropology, which is, it's sort of a lifestyle store. And you can get it at Chronicle Books online, chroniclebooks.com, and I mean, basically that's it. Unfortunately, Borders is out of business, but anywhere else books are sold.
What is your website?
It's blackbird-bakery.com.
I hope some of Karen's recipes will help you discover your gluten freedom. Thanks for watching.